gonna let it shine. I said, this little light of mine, said I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, shine, shine. Let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Yeah, 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 yeah. This little light of mine,
I'm gonna let it shine.
Yeah, this little light of mine,
I'm gonna let it shine.
Let it shine, shine, shine. Let it shine. Everywhere I go, yeah, 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 yeah. Everywhere I go,
Let it shine.
yeah, everywhere I go,
I'm gonna let it shine.
let it shine, shine, shine. Let it shine. Out there in the dark, yeah, yeah, yeah. Out there in the dark, yeah,
Let it shine.
yeah. Out there in the dark, oh, let it shine, shine, shine. Let it shine. How you doing out there this morning? Doing all right? Good. It's looking beautiful outside. We're going to bask in that when we leave from here today, yeah? Now listen, I love this song, and I love all of you, and I'd really love for you to sing this song with me. Is that all right? Yeah? Okay, now, this is the way it's going to go. Now, when I say, all up in my house, you're going to say, I'm going to let it shine. All right? You got that? I'm going to give it to you one more time now. When I say, all up in my house, you're going to sing. Yeah, well, you know, Jason, I think they've got it. Let's do this, all right? Come on now. All up in my house. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All up in my house. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, all up in my house, yeah, yeah. Hey, oh, shine, shine, let it shine. Woo! All right now, this little light of mine.
I'm gonna let it shine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This little light of mine, yeah.
I'm gonna let it shine.
Hey, this little light of mine, let it shine, 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 let it shine. Woo, yeah. Let it shine, gotta let it shine. Got to let it shine. Yeah. Oh, let it shine. Got to let it shine. Oh, let it shine. Let it shine. Say we got to let it shine. Come on, let it shine. Oh, let it shine. Yeah, we got to let it shine. Oh, let it shine. We're gonna let it shine. Woo! Let it shine. Yeah, yeah, yeah. yet, Emma. I thought I was done. I guess not, huh? And I know all you know this song right here, too. Yeah. Take a look at the person next to you. Say, I recognize the God in you.
Recognize the God in you.
Now feel the love in the sanctuary.
Feel the love in the sanctuary.
Lift your voice and repeat after me.
Lift your voice and
We come together.
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 In the name of love, we come together.
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 In the name of love. Take a look at the person next to
Take a
you.
look at the person next to you.
Say, God loves you and I love you too.
God loves you and I love you too.
Now feel the love in the sanctuary.
Feel the
Yeah.
love in the sanctuary.
Lift your voice, repeat after me.
Lift your
Yeah,
voice.
yeah. We come together.
Come together.
We come together.
come together.
We come together.
come together.
In the name of love, we come together.
Come together.
We come together.
come together.
We come together.
come
Yeah,
together.
yeah. In the name of love, every walk of life, every breed and color, in kinship we unite and honor the God in each other. Take a look at the person next to you.
Take a look at the person next to you.
Say namaste, I'll bow to you.
Namaste, I bow to you.
Now feel the love in the sanctuary.
Feel the love in the sanctuary.
And lift your voice and repeat after me.
lift your
Yeah,
voice.
yeah. We come together.
Come together.
We come together.
come together.
We come together. Yeah.
come together.
In the name of love, we come together.
Come together.
We come together.
come together.
We come together.
come together.
In the name of love, we come together.
come together.
We come together.
come together.
We come together.
come
Yeah, yeah.
together.
In the name of love. In the name of love. Yeah. All right.
All right, so we do have a new. Oh, mute is on mic, and mic is on mute. Oh, you know what? I turned it off. I got to tell you, I freak out when I'm wearing this thing. When I go to the men's room. Just saying. I mean, you're supposed to be in here meditating, and I don't want you to. Yeah. It's not very spiritual, although you could use it for a good metaphor. I release and let go. All right, so welcome. Okay, Mike. My name is Michael McMorrow. I'm the spiritual director here at our Center for Spiritual Living in Granada Hills. If you're joining us here for the first time, we welcome you. We welcome all who practice their beliefs and faith and love, whether here in the sanctuary or joining us online for the live stream. And just in case, hi, Mom. And so help me welcome to the platform our presider this morning, Ms. Suzanne Jensen. Yes. So we're going to start by taking a deep, conscious breath as we bring down the lights just a wee bit and allow ourselves to surrender to this moment, setting aside the busyness, the worldly clamors, any of the hustle and bustle. We made it to church. It's going to be a good week. As we come together for our call to service, which we call lighting the flames of faith. And we perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life which acknowledges that all peoples, all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, which we call Spirit. Fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here this morning. So as Suzanne lights the first candle, it's for the Tao. Honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. The second candle we light for shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light the third candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the fourth candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the fifth candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. The sixth candle we light for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light the seventh candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. The eighth candle we light for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light the ninth candle for all forms of new thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. The 10th candle we light for all those who are as yet unaware of the power and presence of Spirit in their lives, and for the space we hold for them here at our center. And as Suzanne lights the healing candle, please put silently into the light the names of anyone you wish to have experience the healing flame of God's eternal love. Now it's here.
In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am, letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes and I see there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love.
I know that there is an absolute intelligence that is everywhere present, all-knowing and all-powerful, and it is the infinite source of all life and all good. I'm grateful for this life and understanding, and for the perfect experience of being right here in this now moment. Knowing in peace this morning that we all rejoice in grateful awareness that our friend Karen Hudson is sailing on blissfully to her greater good, lucid of limits, in boundless joy, one with the divine. I declare that we are all growing in joyous awareness of the divine presence, and that we now cherish our magnificent lives, satisfied, happy, and prosperous. In gratitude for this day, this service, and all who are here, I release my word to the law in grateful acceptance that it is so, and affirming this, we say together, and so it is. Good morning. In our 12-step prosperity class, we are now focusing on what Stretton Smith calls the mind of the heart. Many spiritual teachers speak to this in different ways, but they are all referring to the same space of being. What Stretton is speaking about is the shifting of our attention from our head to our heart. It's a process of mental surrender to God in a physical manner. There's an energy shift in that which can be felt physically. I myself have felt this shift. There's no effort in it. You simply change your focus from your head to your heart space, put your attention there, and in silent surrender, you find that the body relaxes. Attention becomes present listening. In silence, you can hear your heart, thoughts. Answers arise as intuition, new ideas, new feelings, new experiences. This is alignment with Source, with God, the all-knowing. Eckhart Tolle refers to it as being rooted in essence identity. It is at one-ment. To me, living from this space is living a life of prayer. Prayer is communion. Ernest Holmes says, prayer does not concentrate or create power. It is attention and not concentration. Willingness, not will. The spirit never exerts effort. The spiritual communion is relaxing. There is neither stress nor strain in it. What I have noticed is that in aligning myself each morning in the heart space, there is no resistance in my actions. Actions spontaneously arise that are whole and congruent with any activity that I engage in. I feel one with the activity, so to speak. I love for my house to be clean and organized, but if I sit and think about all there is to do, our resistance comes in and I become tired from mentally doing the work. And sometimes I just don't do it, at least not right then. In alignment, I find myself spontaneously doing whatever needs to be done. I don't think about it, I just do it. And things seem to get done quickly. I find that there is peacefulness and even a subtle appreciation in doing simple things, simple activities. Because I'm available to fully be there, present in the simple joy of being. I find that there is goodness in everything if I am available to experience the presence of that good. There is no mental jumping ahead, spinning my wheels, unbeing. Here's a quote from an article in Science of Mind magazine titled, "Change Your Tune, Shift the Outcome." It's by Dr. David Alexander. The universe works through vibrational harmony. It must match the tone of the note that you are playing. It's not just what you are thinking and saying, but who you are being that really counts. Because God is all there is, and it is all there is. It is all the time and everywhere. The only thing we need to do is tune into it. We must first be the presence of peace, wholeness, love, relationship, or prosperity. And we do this by tuning into the vibrations of these states of being. This is what we are doing when we shift our attention from our head to our heart. We are effortlessly aligning with life. We are tuned into all of the vibrations of goodness. I find it easier more often now to notice when I'm beginning to jump in again and live from that headspace, because the energy shift is so noticeably different. If I'm in the head, there's an energy of effort. I'm trying to do something. With the heart and mind space, there's spontaneous doing. There seems to be no separation in being and doing. It is one thing. What I'm learning is that when I shift from what I think I know and align with the mind of the heart space, all is added unto me. Infinite intelligence, peace, and serenity flows through my thoughts and actions in wholeness of being. And the divine as myself is running the show. There's always peace, grace and perfection in that. And I am so blessed for the awareness of this good. Namaste.
Good morning. Hey, guys. Thank you all for being here. Yesterday, all my troubles seem so far away. Now it looks as though they're here to stay. Oh, I believe in yesterday. Suddenly, I'm not half the man I used to be. There's a shadow hanging over me. Oh, yesterday came suddenly. Why did she have to go? I don't know. She wouldn't say. I said something wrong. Now I long for yesterday. Yesterday, love was such an easy game to play. Now I need a place to hide away. Oh, I believe in yesterday. Why'd she have to go? I don't know. She wouldn't say. I said something wrong, and now I long for yesterday. Yesterday, love was such an easy game to play. Now I need a place to hide away. Oh, I believe in yesterday.
Thank you. That was lovely. Okay, so now I'll go over the announcements. There's a 1-minute miracle in the treatment room immediately after this service, in that little room outside. There's a board meeting at 12:30. Animal kinship group in the treatment room at 1 o'clock today. Choir, we are exploring the idea of creating a choir. It will meet weekly to rehearse for 6 performances throughout the year, and there's a sign-up sheet in Sparks Hall. This week, there's Sangha, Mystical Movies with Reverend Jeannie, 4 Wednesdays, August 7, 28, at 9:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. Coming soon, bereavement group in the treatment room, Sunday, August 25th at 1. Myself, Suzanne Jensen, will be facilitating this month's group. Law of Attraction, Sunday, August the 25th at 2. And then there's the Healing Support Group is moving to 12:30 this September instead of 1. And I know it says in the Constant Contact that it ends at 2:30, but it's actually like 1:30. So I want to welcome any newcomers today. I saw a lot out there. Welcome. Glad to see you. Glad you arrived. Okay, let's go ahead and stand for the Declaration of Principles. We believe in one universal spirit, manifesting through all, natural and incarnated in us. We believe that the universal spirit is personal to and reveals itself through everyone who recognizes its presence. We believe that our faith operates upon a law of mind which automatically manifests in our experience according to that faith. We believe in the unity of all life and in the immortality of the individual soul, forever expanding. We believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the givingness of life to all.
I am opening, I am opening, my heart is ready to receive. I am opening, I am opening, my heart is ready to receive. I am opening, I am opening, my soul is ready to receive. I am opening, I am opening, my soul is ready to receive. I am opening, I am opening, my heart is ready to receive. I am opening, I am opening, my heart is ready to receive. I am opening, I am opening, my soul is ready to receive. I am opening, I am opening, my heart is ready to receive.
So, sounds to me like there's about 50 people out there who could sign up for the choir. That was good. So, you don't have to, you can sign up and just find out more about being in the choir. You don't have to make the commitment to join it straight away, yes? So you can go there, see what the commitment is and so forth, and maybe decide amongst yourselves what the commitment will be. So, but Angela Carroll Brown will be leading it if we can get enough interest. So, enough said? All right, so our year's theme this year, I don't know if I've really covered this much, but in case you didn't know, you've probably surmised it already, that in Centers for Spiritual Living all over the place, we are, all over the planet, we are doing these themes together. This year's focus is on spirituality in action. Spirituality in action. And the theme for this month is respect other nations and people, with our topic then today, with a focus on gratitude for the month of August. And then today we're going to be speaking to respect as a virtue. Respect as a virtue. And so we have this quote that I'd like to start with this morning, that every human being of whatever origin, of whatever station, deserves respect. Every human being of whatever origin, whatever station, deserves respect. And we must respect each other even as we respect ourselves. So this by Ralph Waldo Emerson, the transcendentalist, and well, he wasn't the founder of the Unitarian movement, but certainly had a big influence in the 1830s, 1840s. And to me, when I read that, it looks like another version of the Golden Rule, right? It's whatever the station, deserve respect. Be treated the way you want to be treated. And if we're going to explore this idea of respect as a virtue, I thought we might want to revisit what virtue is. So I found this on the internet from Merriam-Webster. So virtue, conformity to a standard of right. Conformity to a standard of right or morality. A particular moral excellence. A beneficial quality or power of a thing. Now this one I found interesting. Manly strength. Manly strength or courage. And so what do you think it was for women?
Same thing.
Chastity. I know. Can you believe it? Isn't this like 2019? Yeah. Funny how they never put men with that word. Yeah. It's like, what an order. I can't go through with it. Anyway, I just, that struck me. Because I'm an enlightened Me Too kind of guy now. So strength versus purity. Isn't that interesting? So, according to this definition then, and actually most definitions that I looked at, that virtue is tied to moral behavior. So then that begs the question, well, what's moral? And what is moral behavior? And so I have the answer. It's here. So moral is as an adjective of or relating to principles, again, of right and wrong in behavior. And in ethics, then, this leads to moral judgments. And then morals, plural, which is a noun, moral practices or teachings, modes of conduct, an authority, and then this from Walter Lippmann, I didn't put this up here, but an authoritative code of morals has force and effect when it expresses the settled customs of a stable society. When it expresses the settled customs of a stable society. I think this is very interesting because things appear to be very much in flux globally right now. An authoritative code of morals has force and effect when it expresses the settled customs of stable society. So to me, these are interesting definitions to explore in the religious science context. So I'm going to give you a tree to look at today. In the religious science context, because one of our core concepts is the idea of oneness. Oneness. And if we are practicing oneness, how does right and wrong work into that? When you have oneness, can you have two-ness? Because that's the opposite, right? It's multiplicity. Now, we do teach multiplicity as one, which is one of our interesting ponderosities. So virtues and morals then are tied to ideas of right and wrong. Isn't that duality? Yes? And if we're studying duality, are we in religious science? Now, Father Richard Rohr, who's written a lot of books, he's a smart guy. I like listening to him and reading him. He said this about when we consider the idea of duality, and I think we do this in our teaching. We can't call dual thinking or duality right or wrong, right? Because if we did, it would be what? It'd be dual thinking, right? So there's no right or wrong. It's just something that happens. And in fact, he points out that we need our dual mind, right? We would not be able to make it from our home to work unless we had a dual mind that said turn right, turn left, do this, not do that, right? So Ernest Holmes wrote this. Actually, I don't have this on a slide. I just want to share this with you. In 1933, he wrote that evolution has brought life to the place where it can reflect on its own states of consciousness. Evolution has brought life to the place where it can reflect on its own states of consciousness, where the incarnation of spirit is sufficient to produce personality, choice, and, quote, the moral element. Man has become a self-choosing center. Man has become a self-choosing center. This is what free will ultimately is, yes? So evolution has brought life to the place where it can reflect on its own states of consciousness. So we, as a logical expression of evolution, not only think, but we think about thinking. Sometimes we overthink about thinking, like I'm going to continue to do today. That man has become a self-choosing center. That's home. So then this tells me, and I think it's right, Holmes is saying that man then, or is at least implying that man then, and not the Godhead, is the moral factor. And I'm trying to stay out of the right or wrong component, except just to point out that we are a choosing center. And as religious scientists, we have to kind of square this with our teaching. And we, as individual choosing centers, together are thinking into this thing that we call human race consciousness. Right? There's another word for race consciousness. Anybody care to guess? Okay, well, that's a nice metaphysical term. How about culture? Culture is a product of race consciousness. Right? War is a product of race consciousness. Military-industrial complex. Right? All of us together are co-creating this, all of life, regardless of what we think, and really freed up. If we free it up from what we think is right and wrong, and instead come at it from a place of universality, which is kind of a Buddhist concept, right? Then we can actually look at things and freed up from our perceptions and the way that we think the world has to be, and then possibly get closer to what is true, to the extent that our perceptions allow us to do that, which is always the interesting part of life. Now, this does not mean that people do not try to interpret what God means. So God told me this morning, blah, blah, blah. Or you get, this is usually something that happens around Thanksgiving when you're with a family member, and, well, God told me, so you're arguing about something. Well, God told me X, Y, Z. Well, how are you supposed to even, that kind of closes it down, right? So this does not mean that people do not try to interpret what God means, and we're not, immune to that, by right and wrong. And in a pluralistic society such as ours, which is what we live in, defining what God thinks can get tricky. Yes? Yeah. So we light all of these candles, but we're really trying to stay away from, what we think any of that means, except to acknowledge that there is some infinite power and presence expressing in all of these traditions. So Holmes, in this way then, he says this: when people ask you about our teaching, always make them feel you are adding to that which they already have, never taking anything away. Right? So think on that isn't that true? If we are holding this idea of these flames of faith as true for us, if this is a value we embrace, right, then it really is, as the master teacher said, that all will be added unto you. So Holmes didn't make it up. Again, he didn't make it up. So, now, as a religious scientist, you may not always have this same courtesy returned to you. Anybody have that experience? Yeah. But it's important that still we commit to this idea of respecting others if we want to stay in principle. Now, what does it mean as a religious scientist when we say stay in principle? Is to stay in our idea that we are one with the Spirit. That's the simplest way of saying it, I think. Now here's the thing. Every teaching, including religious science, has its mysteries and its paradoxes. And critics of religious science, both in the movement and outside of the movement, are quick to point them out. And many of them are legitimate. I'm just going to say it straight up. So from outside the movement, it appears, so we're seeing this or hearing this, and it's called New Thought, as we have Marianne Williamson, who's now running for president, right? And so if you're like me, you're following what commentators are saying about this and what they think about it and so forth. And I find this very interesting. And I find myself not disagreeing with them in some ways when speaking generally about the teaching. And I love, even though the way that she said some of it is kind of kooky, and it does kind of make us look like a woo-woo flower children, but in a way we kind of are woo-woo flower children, right? When compared to the race consciousness, the human race consciousness, the culture, right? She's giving people a lot to think about. And if we, as not only Americans, but as citizens of the earth, begin to consider what would life look like when it comes from love instead of fear, it changed the whole thing. But we're getting there. It's incremental. It's incremental. So from outside the movement appears to be religious scientists are the ultimate purveyors of consumer spirituality. Because we do teach that it is a universe of abundance, that everything is available to us through the power of our thought, bound only by the limitations within our own consciousness. And if you look at some of the promotions that we pitch to try and get people in the door, you see how people can get the impression, particularly if we are in a center that's constantly pushing prosperity programs, not as a method for building consciousness, but as some kind of get-rich-quick scheme. But unless you get into classes, so you can learn some of this stuff on Sunday, but it's in class, where we learn about the teaching on a much deeper basis, and then we move from beyond a gimme-jimmy consciousness. Give me a car, give me a mate, give me a house. Gimme, gimme, gimme. Because if you come at it from that place, you're only going to have limited success. You will be successful. But what we teach and what we explore in class is that we are co-creating with an infinite power and presence of the universe, expressing as mind, working as circulation, that we are thinking with it, and it is thinking with us and through us. And its full demonstration is bound only by the limiting factors of our individual mind, of which our unconscious or subconscious mind is part of the game. So some of the stuff in fact, a lot of the stuff we're not aware of. So again, we go to class and we uncover, discover, discard those thought forms that no longer serve us, so that we can then raise the tendency of our thought to higher thought vibrations to call forth a greater expression of the Spirit expressing as our life. Now, you can't say that in 30 seconds on a soundstage in a debate. In fact, it's even hard to say it when you get 20 minutes. Yes? Trying to explain it to your friend over coffee, right? Well, what is it? Well, it's kind of like, well, have you ever watched Oprah? Right? It's that. One mind of the Spirit expressing through 7 billion brains. Now, if you ponder these things closely, and it does appear that we are a very self-centered religion, because we're constantly looking at ourselves. And this self-centeredness is what ministers of Centers for Spiritual Living are trying to address with this year's theme. To kind of break this down a little bit, and why we're using the prophetic social gospel. And so it does look like things are getting kind of political, but it only looks political because justice has somehow become politicized. And as religious scientists, we have not tackled these things in the past. We just haven't. We have allowed ourselves, this is my opinion, we have allowed ourselves to be hijacked by overly focusing on slogans like prosperity is your divine right, which it is, but it's more than that. It's so much more than that. We get revved up by ministers who are more motivational speakers, who pitch stuff and things over spiritual practice. And this can be a bit shallow, particularly for people who are watching us from the outside. And when folks don't get what they want, they walk away. Or they get what they want, and they walk away. But religious science is more than a strategy for supporting the material structure of our life. Right? What we're really doing is opening ourselves up to demonstrate the infinite power and presence acting as law, activated by our thought, as a co-creative expression of the divine. And the evidence that supports that is the demonstration of our life. Now, this is a good news, bad news thing. Right? So if we're demonstrating mostly loneliness, right, there's only one person who can shift that. And it's not going to be the right and perfect person. Right? I have to be. Right? If I want to attract a mate of the highest order of my imagination, I have to be that first. If I want to be financially successful, I have to have a consciousness that not only attracts my good, but also practices generosity. Right? If I want to if I want to express a nice, lean body, I don't know what to do for that. I'm waiting for Nutrisystem to come out with the donut program, but it's not happened yet. Stop nodding, honey. But so religious science is more than a getting strategy, right? And actually what separates a real religious science for someone who just dabbles with it is what they do when they do not get what they want. For here is the crux of the practice. We are responsible. And this is a very conservative idea, by the way. We have a lot of progressive stuff expressing through our movement right now, and I know that kind of rubs some the wrong way. But we are a conservative teaching. We are responsible for our own experience. That's a tenet of American conservatism. It's a tenet of conservatism around the planet. We are responsible for our own experience. We are responsible together for what we are experiencing. Now that's where the justice principles and so forth can be attuned. It's what we're doing together. If we want to change what's going on out there, we have to change what's going on in here. And actually, as a guy who's a little thick here, I have learned that it's really what's going on, right? So the heart has a much thinner skin than the skull. Ooh, that's a good one. Write that down. That's why we come on Sunday. That's why we go to classes. That's why we establish a daily spiritual practice. And in this way, that's a self-centered practice, isn't it? Now, I don't know that that's such a bad thing. So, because it doesn't mean that we're devoid of moral standing. That Ernest Holmes wrote this, that the philosophy of religious science is nothing new to the world. It is rather a synthesis of the greatest concepts which have ever come to the mind of humanity. A synthesis of the greatest concepts. That means Ernest Holmes is saying, I didn't invent any of it. And neither did we. But we do have our own unique take on it. We each have our own unique expression of that. The synthesis of the greatest concepts which had ever come to the mind of humanity. The law of Moses, the love of the Christ, the ethics of the Buddha, the morals of Confucius, the deep spiritual realization of the Hindus, the mystical revelations of the saints of the Middle Ages, the laws of parallels and compensation of Emerson. See, when you go to class, you learn about all this stuff. The logic of Kant, the spirituality of Swedenborg. I shouldn't have said that. Maybe now you don't want to go. The spirituality of Swedenborg, the beauty of Browning, and the wide universal sweep of Walt Whitman. So what is he doing here? He's throwing the poets in here, and he's saying the poets are the key to the whole thing. Yes? So throw your favorite poet in there too. Mine's right now is David White. So I've been watching these programs about the Woodstock generation. I got to hurry up here, but the Woodstock generation, and it looked like free love and drugs and all that, or at least, because I was a kid watching it, right? And then I got into the 70s, and I wanted, I was a wannabe hippie, right? But by that time, the people who were 10, 12, 15 years older than I was had already kind of moved off of that, right? They'd moved off of it. So I don't know what Albert's last name was, but he was an associate of Timothy Leary, did a lot of experimentation around LSD and changing consciousness and so forth. And now we know him today as Ram Dass. Right? He moved off of that completely. So we do not need enhancements. We do not need enhancements to experience consciousness, is the bottom line. Now, I had to do my own path through that. But luckily, the path ended in my early 30s instead of my late 50s. Right? I'm very grateful for that. And they're bringing people back. So they have strong experiments that they're doing now where they're using mostly mescaline to help people who are terminally ill, who are fearful about what's to come. And so they use these mescaline in a very controlled scientific, I would even say a holistic medicinal setting, so that they may achieve a sense of the transcendent. And it's giving people a lot of relief, right? So it's not like the old days, right? Well, I mean, what I read about the old days. So, Ernest Holmes was during Jim Crow, right? He was before Bobby Kennedy, before rock and roll, before the Civil Rights Act. I think he would have been for all of these things. But he did bring this teaching forth in the Depression and World War II and splitting the atom and fascism and the atomic bomb. So now it's up to us. The vision of religious science, knowing the oneness, our oneness with all people, with the idea that we are sharing the planet together, right? That we are living in sufficiency through stewardship, right? It's time to stop pussyfooting around. And it's important that people like those involved in New Thought who understand and know that life is consciousness and that our thinking creates our reality. It's important that we do our work and step up and do what's ours to do. And if we're really courageous, to share that with others and invite them to join us. So let's invite, speaking of joining us, let's invite Jason up, and we're going to take a deep breath. Oh, boy, you got a lot of stuff today to think about. I got a lot of stuff today to think about. Under supporting all of this idea is the idea of values. So today, as we have come together to start our work week on Sunday, right? Setting the field to create our good through the coming week by means of our work life or whatever it is that we're doing. Frankly, I see many of our retired members working a lot harder than I have in my working life as they pursue their various interests, which is a wonderful thing. But let's think about today, just take some time away from the center here as you go about your business today to reflect on your own values as a self-choosing center. And is my life demonstrating the things I hold most dear? That's what a value is. And if it's not, why not? And what can I do in my spiritual practice to shift and lift the tendency of my thinking that may be keeping that blocked? This is not a teaching for the faint of heart. This takes the most courage I have found that you can muster to say, I am done with the way things are right now. And I know that I have that within me that is connected to the infinite power and presence of the divine to shift and lift the tendency of my thought that I might express its glory more fully and completely with all the courage I can muster to allow its grace, peace, beauty, truth, peace, harmony, and love to express more fully as my life. Contemplate that today and take that into your work week. I guarantee you it'll shift. And come back and we'll check in next week.
Blackbirds singing in the dead of night. And take these broken wings and learn to fly. All your life, you were only waiting for this moment to arrive. Blackbirds singing in the dead of night. And take these sunken eyes and learn to see. All your life, you were only waiting for this moment to be free. Blackbird fly. Blackbird fly into the light of the cold dark night. Blackbirds singing in the dead of night. Take these broken wings and learn to fly. All your life, you were only waiting for this moment to arise. You were only waiting for this moment to arise. You were only waiting for the moment to arise.
So as I just recently learned through Brenda Silas Moore, Paul McCartney wrote that song as a response to what was going on during the Martin Luther King days of the marches and so forth. And so, nice song. Nice, and a nice rendition. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, so as we prepare our gifts for the offering, Jason will take us into our offering chant as we prepare our gifts for the offering. Did I say that already? Should I say it again? Spirit gives through me, Spirit receives through me, Spirit lives and breathes through me. Spirit lives and breathes through me. Spirit gives through us, Spirit receives through us, Spirit lives and breathes through us. Spirit lives and breathes through us. Don't worry, I won't start without you. Yes, I love that you're keeping this commitment. All right, so let's all just take a deep, conscious breath together. One more time as we recognize that the gifts presented here this morning or online or through our 4T class on Tuesday night, that all of them are a demonstration of consciousness that knows and knows that it knows that God is our source, our substance, our supply. And so, as evidenced by the gifts presented here this morning through the generous heart of the individual, we, representing the heart of this spiritual community, accept these gifts with deep appreciation, love, and respect, as we know together they go forth to heal, to prosper, to bless not only this spiritual Center for Spiritual Living, but the lives of each person here this morning, the lives of anyone connected to this center in any way. In fact, while we're at it, we'll extend this blessing to our friends in our community of Granada Hills, our city of Los Angeles, our state of California, our United States of America, all of our churches, temples, mosques, schools, universities, the students who are returning, the teachers who are supporting them, for our planet as well, that we recognize and know in some crazy cosmic way, the living Spirit is expressing in, through, and as all of it. And to the extent that we know this to be so, we are lifted. We feel a sense of power that propels us into ways of spiritual living and spiritual loving that raises ourselves and those around us. And that's a good thing. And together we acknowledge this by saying, and so it is. Amen. So please help me thank lovely Rita. Another Beatles Sunday kind of thing. And Miss Chloe. Yes, so please help me thank Miss Terry Page, who is helping us out this morning. Mr. Jason Goldstein. Yes. Who's been filling in for Ken Francis, who's been on sabbatical. He will be back next week, so make sure you show up and give him a warm welcome back. And let's just give him some extra love. You're an exceptional man, my friend. So we've really appreciated, and we know you're going to still be around. Yeah, so he's not gone. It's just Ken's back, but he's not gone. So don't worry. So, what else we got to do?
Children.
Do we have kids? Yeah. We got kids. Children? Anybody coming in today? No. All right. So I just want to point out that the praise music did go a little bit longer today, so it wasn't all me talking this morning that's getting us out of here late. All right, so let's, our presider, let's ask Suzanne to pray us out. Thank you all for being here, and if you are new, stick around. We have some coffee, and I saw some vittles back there too, so make yourself known. Maybe we'll put you to work.
If the practitioners will surround the room. We go home today expanded in awareness of being one energy of life. I know that we are now awake to the joys of life and being and live in lightness, harmony, connectedness, love, and grace. And any ideas of separateness are released and transcended in the light of awareness. And we live our best life as our highest selves today, tomorrow, and always. And I give thanks for our service today and our lovely, abundant, prosperous center. And I know that we all enjoy our Sunday in peace, and I release this word to the law. It is done and so, and together we affirm this by saying, and so it is.
Please stand for the peace song. Oh yeah, big circle.